Wait.
What's good, everybody? It's your gearhead, Mr. Logic. And make sure if it's your first time, you hit that like and subscribe button. Allow me to introduce to you my lovely co-host.
Hi, guys. It's your girl, Nate. I have a special surprise for you guys.
Ooh, yeah, I can't wait to tell him. I'm actually surprised you actually did it, but I'm going to let it come out the dragon's mouth because, I think it's only right that you explain what you did. I just want to let you know I think it's dope. I think it's cool. But before we get into that, again, make sure if it's your first time, you hit that like and subscribe button, We hope you've been having a great week and everything's going well. And to break it in proper, just know this is one thing for show, two things for certain, baby. Woo! Let's break it in as we carry tradition, as you know. How was your week?
Oh, my weekend.
I noticed you got a new birthmark too.
I do. Oh my god, you guys. This weekend, I got a tattoo.
Oh, you gotta bring it up to camera and let them know. You gotta show them. Get up, girl.
Yeah, I'm gonna zoom in.
We got our engineer going in. Check this out. He about to bring it in. There we go. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Zoom, 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 zoom.
I think it's a better angle. Wow.
There we go.
Wow. It's koi fish. See, have you guys seen the show, The Avatar, The Last Airbender? That was the inspo.
Yang. So, before you tell them what happened, I just want to say I'm honestly a little jealous that you did it on your own. I wanted to be there, but I understand. It's all good. It's all love.
It was very spontaneous.
Yeah, those are usually the best.
So I was actually in Orlando this weekend with my boyfriend. We were having like a little mini vacation. And we were literally on our way. This was Sunday, on our way to Miami. We were starting to head out, and I saw this tattoo shop that I had seen the day before, and I had said something, but I'm like, man, whatever. And I said it again just for shits and giggles. I'm like, oh, babe, you want to get a tattoo? And he's super down. Like, he has tattoos, and he's been wanting to get a Spider-Man tattoo. So 100%, he was already down to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And he was calling my bluff, and he was like, I'm down. Yeah, but I was the one driving, so I'm like, oh, it's up to me. This is my chance.
You had it all in the bag. No more being scared.
No more being scared. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. What are the chances that we get down and they have like there's nobody there and they have an availability? That the tattoo artist is free for the next few hours.
Did you do this on a hump? Like, they're not gonna be available. Let me just for shits and giggles, or you honestly were hoping they were gonna be available?
A little bit of both. I kind of had no thoughts in my head. I was like, if it happens, it happens, and if it doesn't,
so you were on some Nike shit.
I was on some. It's a sign. Like if everything happens for a reason,
Facts.
I've been thinking for a while that I kind of wanted to get a tattoo. I just never knew what I wanted. At first, I wanted a lyric tattoo, but because I've never had a tattoo ever, it's my first one. I was kind of iffy about if I wanted a lyric tattoo because I love the lyric. Yeah. But I don't know if it's gonna look cool, like on
and
my
also,
arm,
depending on how you live your life, that lyric may change meaning to you.
True.
So
and I've had a few inspo pics like in my camera, like my photo gallery, just something cute.
Well, to tell you guys from here, it honestly is 2 koi fish, yes. Right? And it circulates around the meaning of life with the moon and the sun. And for those who don't know, you got the bad with the good. And I think it honestly fits her personality. I do like it. I just know you're not done. Like, I know for a fact you're not done. I just hope you know that you started something that it's like popping your cherry and it's like, damn, it's an addiction. Tell me that pain didn't feel good while they were doing it. You didn't like, I love that stinging pain when they be going in.
So let me tell you, it didn't hurt. Like I like
you use the numbing gel too, right?
No, they only use the numbing gel when he had to shade in the black areas, like of my right fish. So and he put a little bit on. He just sprayed it on. I didn't really numb anything. I don't think so.
It's more for looks.
It made it a little bit more bearable, but it didn't hurt. It was just more of like an annoying sensation because it's a really sharp needle and it feels like a needle, like, when you go to the hospital.
Constantly just going.
Yes. And it's not actually like puncturing your skin to like get blood, like how a needle does.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, like I was just amazed at how awesome the needle was just gliding over my skin,
Mhm.
and it was pinching, but it was going so fast and it was vibrating that it felt like one of those machine massage guns. It
So
felt pretty cool.
bring us through it, yo, because I'm curious. What made you choose it? What were you feeling, and what does it represent for you?
Okay, so when I had this was like probably a year ago, a year and a half ago. I kind of had this thought of, oh, I want to get a tattoo. I don't know what to get. I thought of the lyric tattoo, and then I thought of other small, dainty, fine line tattoos. I got some inspos on like Pinterest, and none of them really stuck. It looked cool, and one of them was actually this image and symbol. And when I went to the shop, the tattoo artist and the person at the front were really great at asking me the right questions to see what kind of inspo I wanted. And my tattoo artist actually said something that triggered, and he like, because I had told him, I'm like, well, I kind of, if I'm going to get a tattoo, I want it to mean something. Like I want it to symbolize, like
something that appeals to you.
Something that appeals to me. And he was going through a list of stuff that, symbolized certain items, and one of them was a koi fish. And I'm like, and it just hit me. I was like, oh my God, can you please look that up? And she was already doing it, and I saw the image.
Oh,
and
it was a female artist too. Even nice.
No, it was a male artist who drew this, but the person at the front was female who was like looking it up.
Okay.
And it's gonna sound super fucking cheesy, but it was like love at first sight. I was like,
that's not cheesy. That's what it is.
That's the image.
Listen, your body is a canvas. Express your art. Exactly. That's how I feel about it.
Although my mom wasn't too pleased.
Of course not. You come from a strict household, yo. Mom's gonna be like, "Oh my God, she's like, greet me now. Oh my God, she's a Cholita. She made me go to animals me. Oh, what did I do? Where did I go wrong?"
Well, no, she wasn't that dramatic, but I was like, okay, so we got home at the same time, and she got home with my sister, and I'm like, I have something to show you guys, but please don't get mad. No se enojen conmigo. And she's like, no, ¿por qué? Like, why? And I literally lift up my work sleeve and I show her. And two different reactions. I had my sister going, ooh. And at the same time, I was going, ooh. We were both
and your mom
teasing.
Is just like.
And my mom was like, ay, Natalie, no. ¿Por qué? Why would you do that? She's like, no me gusta. No me gusta.
Well, this is level 1 to toxica now.
And she was like, I know, porque luego vas a querer ponerte más. Like later you want to put on more tattoos on your arms and it's going to become this thing. And then she was just like, she didn't like it.
That's the point.
And that was that. I just needed to show her. And then I kept coming back to the kitchen to like get some stuff. And she kept seeing, I was wearing a short sleeve and she kept seeing it. And she was just like,
I'll be honest. How many times have you checked yourself out in the mirror?
Well, I was working all day today, so I was wearing long sleeve. But there were a few times where my coworkers were like, "Let me see it," and I kept unbuttoning, and I'm like,
"Check out the goods. Check out the goods." So now that you got that on your forearm, I know you're not gonna just leave it there. Now, my advice is right. Please don't be like one of those people who just get random shit because then you end up looking like a fucking Chipotle bag.
Oh, no, yeah.
Tag it up, yo. Like, that's the start of something that could be very beautiful. Would you ever at one point do like your wrist or your hand or like a full sleeve?
I want to stay away from this area right here. I want to keep this blank just because.
So you're going to do the band?
I want to. No.
Like the band where they just cut it off. Like it just looks like instead of blending it all the way, they draw it to that limit. So like you see how my watch cuts off and behind that is all your ink work. That's usually what most people do.
Nah, I mean, I don't know if I'll get like a full sleeve. I mean, this in itself looks cool as fuck to me. I just maybe time will tell if I want to get more like on my arm.
So you were at the tattoo shop. She helped you look it up, and then you're like, okay, this is for me. It represents again for you balance.
It represents balance more so, just the yin to my yang.
When you're getting your man's name tatted,
I'm gonna get his name tatted. Why is my mic acting up? I need his name tatted right here.
If you ever do that, I honestly I can't be friends with you after that.
I'm gonna
You're gonna
walk
be
in and you're
looking
gonna be
like
like,
Amber
this
Rose.
bitch.
I'm like, oh, great, you know. But again, that's just some tattoos just don't make sense.
You know, it's funny because you called me and
Mhm.
I think I had just finished with the tattoo and I was telling you about it and I
Mhm.
had you on speaker and after we finished the call, you had said at the end of the call, you're like, no, I want to get a face tattoo. And then you
Yeah.
hung up and my tattoo artist, he was like, because he did tattoos in prison and he
Mhm.
did two in specific that were free and he's like, oh, I give face tattoos for free and it has to be these two specific tattoos, and it was one that was a star that said porn in the middle and the other one that said fuck 12.
Okay, yeah, no, I ain't doing no dumb shit like that. My next tattoo, obviously, I'm gonna do my hand, guys, and I'm gonna do my forearm. It's time to connect the dots, you know. And then also, I plan on going behind the ear, doing my ace of spades, and what's that piece called? A scythe behind the ear because of all my recent situations, and it's not nothing negative. It's just basically, part of my life story. I think tattoos are a reflection of a way we are able to express ourselves.
Yeah.
Some people think it's taboo because, how are you gonna look when you get older? The same way I look now,
Gonna look
bad
cool
as
as fuck.
fuck. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So, kudos to you, yo. But besides that, how was your
Thanks.
week?
It was pretty fucking great. You know, I didn't I went to Orlando, but I didn't go to the parks this time. I'm like, you know what? There's a lot of shit to do in Orlando. Let me go do that stuff because every time I go, I never know. Like, I never experience it because I'm always going to the parks, and then after a long day at the parks, you get so fucking tired. So
Yeah, it's exhausting. It's a lot of walking, a
yeah.
lot of planning. My week is crazy, yo. Like I actually sat down and I thought about all the shit that went down. For y'all who don't know, yeah, I got in the car accident in November. I got in a car accident about 2 weeks ago,
Bro.
and it came down to me realizing I have a choice, yo. Either embrace it and focus on the positive or let the negative destroy me. I honestly feel like things like that happen when you're basically close to reaching the pinnacles of your goals. And it's like, bring it on, motherfucker, because I ain't stopping. I'm very blessed. Like, it honestly, when, from other accidents, sometimes they take you out, but this one actually put a fire underneath my ass because it's like, nah, I need to get it. I can't let nothing stop me.
Yeah.
And then within the week, yo, a lot of things have changed work wise. I'm loving my job. You know what I'm saying? It's just a lot, man. It's a lot of educating and giving yourself time and balance. And I'm good with that, yo. Your boy's leaving to Vegas next month. You know what I'm saying? So I got Lewis riding with me. I got Bert riding with me. So when y'all, we're going to be out there, make sure you hit us up and let us know what's good, yo, because it's going to be some shit.
Yo, take that little camera you got.
Fuck yeah.
Definitely do.
I got the microphones
interviews.
ready. I got the camera ready. It's about to be some shit.
Woo!
You feel me? It's about to go down. And you know what they say, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Yeah, that changed with social media. I don't live
Yeah,
that
that's
life
true.
anyways. You just might see me eat like a fat boy. I mean, I already eat like a fat boy as it is. So now, today we gonna freestyle it, man. Today is just a chill session.
Yeah.
I have a question I want to ask you as a woman.
I may have an
You know
answer.
what I'm saying? And I really want to get your input on it. I heard a Instagram story where Buddy asked a question. I found it very interesting.
Okay.
So, say that, God forbid, you're in an accident, right? And within that accident, your genitals had to be removed. Like they had to close it up. You're already in a relationship. What actions are you taking to solidify, comfort, and support your man now that you don't have a vagina? What would you do? How would you keep and maintain that relationship? What would you change knowing that you can no longer give him the poom poom?
Do I still have my butthole?
You got everything. You just don't have a vagina.
Okay. But I still have a butthole then.
So you would basically just let him go throughout that rear door. What about head?
No, I mean that too, of course. And there's more than one way
Okay.
to be intimate, but hey, at least I still have a butthole.
Okay. So with that being said, and I'm not trying to go too deep into it, but I'm honestly curious. You would still support him sexually, but how do you compensate for what you lost to aid him other than using sex?
What do you mean? Like,
Because, especially in 2024, you got shorties like it could be the anniversary and their present's like, oh, you about to get this cookie. You know what I'm saying?
oh, I
So,
get
like,
you.
what would you do and what would you change in the relationship and where would you increase? You know how like you lose one sense and the other strengthen up?
Yeah.
So, in the relationship, what other actions would you take to validate the relationship further on more since sex has drastically changed?
So, okay. Now in my relationship, I do believe sex is very important in a relationship. You know, the intimacy. I'll be pretty fucking bummed that I can't have a fucking vaginal orgasm anymore. But what can you do in this hypothetical situation with this accident that was in? You know.
Yeah, I overspilled. Lewis, can you get me a napkin? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Don't judge me. I was being reckless, bro. I was being greedy right now. Okay, so
Anyways, so
continue.
yeah. So right now it's not like sex is our entire relationship because we are intimate in non-sexual ways.
Okay.
So he's my best friend. You know, we do silly goofy shit, that a normal best friend would do. I think if I were in that situation, it would be a little bit more hard on me in terms of, I can't have a vaginal orgasm. They do say that you could experiment,
No, I hear
with
that.
like booty stuff. They say that there's a G spot in there on some people, so
True that.
it's gonna take some experimenting and other things too. But I don't really, if that were to happen to me, I really wouldn't have to worry about that so much. It would be traumatizing for me, but I think we have a pretty good relationship, platonically to have fun, but then romantically also, get intimate and stuff like that.
So there'll be other ways to go about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Because when I think about that, now I have Lewis here, so I'm gonna spin the question on it. Lewis, real quick, Doug. If you were, God forbid, in an accident, you lost your genitalia, how would you? Now you can't run from this. How would you increase the relationship? What changes would you do to make things better and to fill in that void?
Wait, you can buy dildos.
But we're talking in a non-sexual way.
But lesbians use dildos too. Like,
okay.
So if a guy, doesn't lost his genitals in an accident, he can just use a dildo to please her. And if he wants to be pleased, then at that point he's gonna have to be open to other stuff.
Well, the reason I asked that, right? It's crazy because it was a comedian asking that, and one of the women gave a response similar because I asked my mom the same question. Where imagine people who are like paralyzed, you know what I'm saying, who don't have that hard work, and most of the response is, well, where I lack, I would make up for by being more supportive, by being more understanding, and fill in their voids and focus more on the relationship to hold it down, knowing that sex is no longer a factor. This is where my mind will go and my direction will go. That's where I find that interesting because there's a lot of people who are in that situation where they're not able to give their partner what naturally comes. You know what I'm saying? Like I met plenty of dudes who are wheelchair bound, and sometimes like because of that, they step up in another field and they do that. So it was always curious for me to hear that. And then in the comedian's part of it, when he was asking that, he was like, you see, that just shows y'all just hoes because none of y'all said no good shit and y'all just have sex to offer. Like he was going off and I'm like, damn. When he said it, I was like, that makes a dude think some type of way. But it's in our nature.
But you're talking about people who are in relationships, like not to build a life, get married, start a family, you'd be surprised how a lot of people who are in a relationship who are a few months down or maybe a year and they haven't talked about like marriage or families, or just like if their answer is always, oh, we're just, we're we've been going on for almost a year and it's great. We're just seeing where things are going. I still have a lot to focus on. Like they're evading answering
Stalling.
they want in the future. You know, like every relationship is different, and
Mhm.
there's no shame in taking your time, some compared to others. You know, personally, you know, I've talked about, like, you know, with my partner, like our
Mhm.
future. I want to say 6 months down the line,
Mhm.
we started with what ifs, and then it turned into, oh, like, you know, it
When?
could be, and then when, and, you know, it had its little stages.
Okay. I have another question. God forbid, I try to put ourselves in people's places that be going through that. How would you be okay with your partner stepping out because you're no longer able to offer him something that you used to naturally have? Like, would you be willing to open up that door to compensate him? And the reason why I ask that, it's like, you know, I heard that I had a homeboy where he was laying down with a chick in front of the husband. Weird shit, but the husband is like 80 something years old and he's a sugar daddy. And because he wasn't able to pleasure his wife anymore, he would allow her to step out and pick men of her choice to do those things. Is that something that you would be willing to do if you were in that situation? Because I don't think I'll be real with you.
I mean,
I don't think I would be able to handle that. Ain't no
so
way.
right off the bat, you know, I'm gonna say no. Obviously, in this hypothetical situation, you never know until you're put in that position, because then you start feeling bad. You know, oh, you want the best for your partner, you want to make sure they
But it's
feel
my
great.
cookies.
But just because, like, I feel that way doesn't mean that he's gonna feel differently. You know,
Yeah.
because I know him, like now he'll probably say, oh, like he couldn't, like he'd feel guilty, like he couldn't fathom the fact of, you know, trying to get pleasure from someone else. Like, you know, to him it's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Like, I
because
can't picture that.
naturally you don't want to make somebody feel less. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
you want to protect their feelings and their emotions and shit.
I mean, in my case, like, I'm not so worried, just because it's really just communication in terms of what it is that he may need in the moment. What do I need? Because, you know, I also lost a lot, you know.
Yeah,
But
you're still going, hypothetically, you're still going through your hardship. You know what I'm saying? You
right.
just can't be selfless at all. Like, there's a part of you that's going to be selfish because, unfortunately, you're in a fucked up position. But final thoughts before I ask you the next question.
I really hope that doesn't happen. Those are my final thoughts.
Yeah, I salute to those who are in that situation. Respect. It's just, thank God that, you know, I'm blessed to still have my hardware and keep shit going, you know. With that being said, I have a question. As you know, we're freestyling tonight. What is love to you? Like, define what you think love is, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's with family. What does love mean to you? And what does the definition mean? And how do you execute that?
So a lot of people could argue that love is chemicals in the brain, you know, mixing up and stuff like that.
Didn't Rihanna make a song, Must Be Love on the Brain or some shit like that?
Oh, love on the brain.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. But, you know, taking all the science facts aside, love can be a really beautiful thing.
Okay.
It's something that it's so hard to explain, because there's different types of love. You have platonic love, you have romantic love, you know,
Customized love,
unconditional love. You know, the love that you feel for your parents and your family is different than the love you feel for your romantic partner.
loving somebody versus being in love with them.
Oh, exactly. Loving your pets. Oh my god, such a wholesome type of love. You know, when you have a child.
I think that's real unconditional love when it comes to children and pets. Truly
oh
unconditional.
my god, it's because children and pets, they're so innocent. You know, there's just an innocence about them that just makes you want to love them, you know?
I mean, you ever had cats? Sometimes, like, they'll be on the counter and they're looking at you and they're just like,
they're like, fuck you.
Don't do that.
And they do it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, is it fucking assholes, yo? Like, cats are assholes. Thank you, good sir. But yeah, so because there's so many different variations of love, right? What do you think makes love real? Like, what actions do you think that warrant for someone to be like, yeah, that love is real?
When it starts becoming selfless, in my opinion. You know, like love, you can't, if you're selfish, with things that involve love, then
Mhm.
you're not really loving the
What
right
about
way,
self-love though?
you know?
Because there's like a thin line
Oh no,
between that,
yeah.
like
But
you
that's
got to
another
love
the other
yourself. They say
category.
to love other people.
Hmm.
So
Love
like,
yourself.
how do you break that down?
If you say that you love someone, but
Hmm.
you're not willing to, go above and beyond for them,
Hmm.
do the little things. It doesn't have to be something extravagant. You have to really know the person. For example, like, for you,
Hmm.
if I want to show you that I love you,
Hmm.
then, I
Food.
yes, food is the number one thing. I would make sure that I every day or every once in a while ask you, Jason, like, how are you doing? If you're having such a hard day out of nowhere, I bring you some food,
Hmm.
like
You
really,
cater.
really treat you and cater you to the things that you love, because your love language is different than Lewis's love language
Facts.
and different than my love language. So it's really paying attention to like the small details in the person that you love
Hmm.
and showing them in their love language that you really care about them.
Okay, so given that answer, where do you see that societies is jacked up when it comes to the definition of love? Why do you think things are the way they are now? And why do you think the word love gets taken out of context and abused? Because it
Pe-
really does when you think about it,
right.
2024.
People love love. They
Hmm.
love the way it makes them feel. They don't love,
Or the idea.
or they love the idea of love, and most of the time they don't actually love the person that's giving it to them. They just love that they're giving it to them.
Mm.
You know, it happens a lot when you're teenagers, because you're still coming of age, you're still trying to
Hmm.
realize and find out what love actually is.
Hmm.
It's a lot harder to distinguish, that you like someone and that you're in love with someone. How do you tell?
Mm.
And a lot of the time, when you're teenagers, you think you love the person,
I think
but
teenage love is far more innocent
it
than
is.
any stage
Mm-hmm.
of love in any other age group. Like you have your adulthood like love, your child, but your teenage years, I feel like is so raw because it's uncharted territory and it's more genuine than being an adult dealing with love. Would you
Yeah.
agree with that?
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
And I think it's scary too. Now, with that being said, right now I just want to basically break into it because I'm honestly curious because
Yeah.
I see so many stories.
So let me
So,
tell you, so my dad, for example,
mhm.
he's a pretty complicated man. The type of dad who, it's like, in my
I like
eyes,
your dad. Your dad's hilarious.
in my eyes, my dad, he's my dad. He's funny. He takes care of me. He's the,
Mhm.
the protector, etc. And
He's the
sometimes
law.
he's the law, and he tells me a bunch of stories,
Mhm.
about like shit that he did, before I was born and when I was a baby, when I was a kid,
Mhm.
etc. And he sometimes would mention how when he was a kid he would look up at the stars and he would see the constellations, etc.
Oh wow.
And he told that story a few times. And so one year for his birthday, I named a star after him, because my dad, he's like a hermit. He doesn't like to go out and party. He doesn't drink. He doesn't smoke. He works at night, and he likes it that way.
So he's like a square, not in a disrespectful
Not in a
manner,
disrespectful way.
but he's a square.
He's lived such a crazy life
Mhm.
that at this point in his age, he just wants to take it easy. He just wants to relax. He wants to work, make money to, protect and sustain his
Mhm.
family, and his hobbies. He's a car guy. He likes his cars. But if there's one thing, is he's very nostalgic, and he does have a
Mhm.
sweet spot for some of that stuff. And so, typically when it's someone's birthday,
Mhm.
traditionally and socially, you take them out for dinner
Yeah.
and you maybe have a few drinks,
Yeah.
and it's socializing. But my dad is not that way at all. And it
No.
would be wrong of me to take him out on his birthday, buy him dinner, and like, all that
You either do
extravagant
something that
stuff.
appeals to him because
It
it's
would
about
appeal
him.
it would appeal to him, like, and also knowing some foods that he can't eat because it upsets his stomach. So I'll be like, oh, I bought you this specific cake because I know if you eat this other cake it's gonna upset your stomach, and here's a present because I know you like, he likes presents because it's the thought. It doesn't have to cost money. It's more of like
The,
the thought
the
of the gift.
Do you think it's wrong to have expectations when you give somebody love? And if so, no, why? If yes, why? Or if both, why? Explain the difference.
Like, is it?
Like, because I love you, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have expectations that you're gonna do something or put up with something. Like, if you hear those times where it's like, well, if you really loved me, you would have basically allowed this or you would have done this. Like, how do you decipher that? And is that love or is that manipulation? Because again, like you said, we all have our own different love language, and some people, I think they're capable of love, but love is such a universal language. And the problem is because it's with emotions, it's not always received that way.
Right.
Like, you know how love can be overwhelming, where you could be with somebody you love and you could poison your own thought process because you're so fucking worried about fucking it up. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like how would you decipher that?
So I don't think it's manipulative all the like most of the time when people are saying, oh, like, you're supposed to love me this way, this and that. I think, hurt people. And when a person's hurt, that's how they feel.
Okay.
And
I
I
have to
know because
cut you off right there.
okay.
And the reason why, I'm sorry. Hurt people hurt people. I hear that saying a lot. And me personally, I find that so much bullshit. I find it as an excuse.
But it's true though.
Why do you say that?
I want to say maybe 90% of the time hurt people hurt people.
Mm-hmm.
There are exceptions. I think it's more common to people who aren't so either emotionally mature or they haven't really found a way to keep their emotions in check. When let's say you and me, we have a fight, and you say something that hurts me, and I don't bring it up to you. Now that's my fault. I need to bring it up, communicate with you about something that you did that hurt me.
That's something that a lot of women won't admit.
But I keep it to myself. I'm human. I overthink things, and I'm like, oh, because what if this happens and that happens, and I end up not saying anything, and then I build up resentment. Time passes, and then it's a domino effect. You start doing these little things that really get to me, that really start annoying me, and then next thing you know, I purposely hurt you, not in a very vindictive way, but just in a way where
as
it's
a
like
natural response.
As a natural response of, you see how you're feeling right now? That's exactly how you made me feel. How does that make you feel? And then in some people's like thought process, it's now you see how I feel.
Well, with that being said, right? You'll always find that, especially amongst, I'm not saying all women, this is just what's been displayed, where I see a lot of women say, I love you, and that's why I did what I did, because I wanted you to feel how I feel. Some might say that's fucking cancer. Like, that's just wrong, because if you truly love somebody, even if they hurt you, the love that you have for them is so real. Why would you want them to experience something that hurts you so bad? Is that real love? You get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. I think, in that instance, it's really, can you agree that sometimes it's really hard being empathetic? Because there are some situations where you've never been in that situation and you don't know how it feels like until you're in that situation. So when your partner, your friend comes up to you and they're feeling very hurt by what you did, you can't possibly think of, damn, how would that make me feel? So it's very hard. You can feel sympathetic.
Yeah, it's a hard balance.
It's a very hard balance, and it's very hard to try to put yourself in that person's shoes. And so I believe that some people will intentionally hurt the other person within the limits,
not subconsciously, but just carry it out.
And so that way you finally feel how it feels like. And with a lot of people, they'll go back and forth with, maybe I shouldn't do this, but no, fucking hurt me, and it's a constant battle. It really just depends on the person's thought process and how they're feeling and what the situation is, how they want to hurt them, because they just want the person
to understand them,
to be like, wow,
and I could
that
get that
feeling sucks, and I'm so sorry that you felt that way. I really do apologize. Because then that deep apology just goes,
it's sincere.
Thanks. Now you finally know how I feel, and that really hurt, and now you can finally stop doing it.
But some might call that manipulative, because I saw a video, like on the TikTok thing where they sit down with the ex and they talk about the problems they had.
Oh yeah.
And Shorty was talking about, oh, you're on Snapchat dealing with other chicks. And he's like, number one, I was faithful to you. I didn't even mess with those girls, but you're chilling with your ex. And she's like, I don't understand the big deal. And he broke it down beautifully. And again, this is me being straight up. If I'm dealing with a woman
Mm-hmm.
and
Let's
say
you-
I mess up,
Let's say
right?
you're dealing with me,
Yeah, right.
and then my ex would be.
And
with
if I'm
her.
dealing with you
Mhm.
and we're together and we're a little bit rocky, I would not be as hurt if I found you chilling with other guys, but I would be devastated if I found out you were chilling with an ex. Do you know why?
Why?
No, guess why I would be more devastated with you chilling with an ex than with some random guys.
Well, I had not only the physical connection, but an emotional connection with my ex.
Okay, I'm happy you said that. And that was the argument that Buddy had made and he executed it so beautiful. And this is why I had to look at her sideways, because again, it goes back to that saying, hurt people. And I hate that saying, because the way I look at it, that would be, especially as a man, I feel like that would make me a shitty person to do that to somebody knowing how it made me feel. That's a selfish intent and a bullshit excuse, in a sense. If you truly love that person, you would never allow them to feel what you felt for a moment. You get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So in the video, he was like, I was wrong for basically, he wasn't even hanging with girls. He was just basically having them on Snapchat. And he admitted he was wrong for that. But I feel like she was more wrong because you're choosing to chill with somebody you had an intimate connection with. At one point, you gave this person you. You know what I'm saying? And it's not even a sexual aspect at that level. It's more of a spiritual connection that you had with somebody. And you're doing this blatantly, not because you want to, but in order to grab my attention. And I think that's where that, hurt people is bullshit, because if you truly cared for somebody, you wouldn't do nothing like that. Now, both parties are wrong. Now, with her saying that, her response was like, well, you weren't paying attention to me. And that's why I look at shit crazy, because a baby that doesn't cry doesn't get fed. You know what I'm saying?
That's where communication comes in.
Exactly. And that was one of the strong points on that video on the TikTok I was watching, because communication is important. Because imagine, I think another thing that happens with relationships, and I'm not talking for myself, I'm just talking in general, and it goes on both sides. We don't know what each other are thinking. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what's going on in your head. You don't know what's going on in my head. And sometimes, especially speaking for a lot of men, a lot of us guys will lock up and shut down because we are falling in love. And because we want to give you everything, we're so scared to fuck it up that naturally, I'm not saying this as an excuse, but naturally we will separate in hopes not wanting to fuck it up. And I feel like a lot of shorties out here don't understand that. And you can't just basically say, well, I want him to feel what I feel.
Well, yeah.
Because then that's not real love to me. You get what I'm
mean-
saying? If you're willing to hurt the person you supposedly care about,
Right.
because how they're making you feel as an adult, you express how they're making you feel.
Right. I mean, when you said that, some guys, when they start realizing that they're falling in love, that they'll start like backing away. Honestly, that's called self-sabotage.
Well, women do the same thing if you think about it. A lot of times women do the same thing. When you talk about self-sabotage, break that down.
If you're getting close to someone and you start realizing, wow, I'm having really deep feelings for this person, it's gonna get serious. At one point, we're gonna have to start talking about, meeting each other's parents or maybe moving in, etc.
Mhm.
What's gonna happen? I'm probably gonna fuck it up, or something's gonna happen and it's gonna end, and you start overthinking. And you know what? And you end up subconsciously self-sabotaging because you're so overwhelmed with the fact of it's getting really deep and we're getting deep feelings for each other. What if something happens? You know what that what if is? It's you. Because now you're being distant in hopes of, maybe not fucking something up, being very careful. But by you doing that, you are fucking it up, because
Because you're not
Again, you're
communicating
not
that.
again, what makes a good relationship is the communication and understanding what your partner is trying to tell you, and
Facts.
trying to and not taking things so personally. If they say, hey, you've been super distant lately and I don't appreciate that, one of my love languages is, physical touch and
Mhm.
quality time. I really,
Don't weaponize that either.
yeah, and don't weaponize it either, and really just loving your partner in their love language. But by being distant, what favor are you doing to yourself?
If I may, right? I think what happens with a lot of guys is like, remember how I told you for most women, all you guys have to do is show up? A lot of times in our mind, and I can't say for every male, I only can speak for myself and other individuals that I'm cool with, where a lot of us are like, damn, bro, I have a good one. I don't want to lose that. She can have any guy she want, and she's choosing me. And one thing no man wants to feel is like they can't take care of the woman they want or they have. They want to give them a better life. And I think sometimes that outside weight from the relationship impacts it so heavy where it's like it's too much to bear. And a lot of times in society, they tell us not to open up too. Because we've seen plenty of times when a man does open up, it backfires where Shorty starts acting different and she's not as attracted because he made himself vulnerable to the girl. So I think that has a lot to do with it. And with that being said, what do you think about that? And how do you think a man should go about that?
So you have to be very careful who it is you're getting involved with, because there's nothing wrong with opening up and building that connection with your person.
Mm.
If the other person makes you feel less than because you're opening up, then that's the wrong person for you. Like, they're the red flag. Because, let's say,
When you say they're the red flag, break down the reason of why they're a red flag, in your opinion.
in my opinion, they're your partner.
Mhm.
Like, let's say, you and I are together and it's new and you're opening up. If my like initial reaction is that like I find it a little weird, and then I see you differently because you started opening up and
Mhm.
all these things, low key, that kind of makes me a red flag, because we're like, supposedly I like you and we're
Mhm.
supposed to be in this relationship, but all of a sudden, you're a person and you have feelings. And even though you're a man and you're tough and you have your masculine energy and you can definitely, be very this protector
Mhm.
of a man, you also have feelings, and sometimes it's very important for you to open up. And if I don't recognize that in you, then there's something clearly wrong with me, because
Mm.
I need to realize that men are human beings too, and they have feelings and they deserve to open up to their partners.
See, a lot of shorties don't think like that though. Because
It's
a
it's
lot
the
of times
emotional immaturity.
it is. Because a
And
lot
there's
of
nothing
times,
wrong with it. You just need to grow.
yeah, because a lot of times dudes open up and we see it time and time again where it's used against them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I always say a lot of shorties out here don't realize how much power they have. You know what I'm saying? Just the listen, for y'all ladies in a relationship, you want to see a night and day difference in the switch? Out the blue, tell your man how proud of him you are and watch his whole world light up. Like simple things like that. And a lot of times, because society tells us we got to be the big boy and put our big boy pants on, a lot of men want to just communicate that to the girl, like, yo, telling me you're proud of me, telling me that you want me. Like, these are things that honestly mean the world to us. It's the simplest things that make the biggest impact in the world. It's like that whole saying, big things come in small packages.
Right.
So imagine little efforts here and there are basically what move mountains in a relationship.
You really have to take a step back and think and ask yourself what type of relationship that you're in. Because if you realize that, in that instance, if you finally you say something nice to your partner, oh, I'm so proud of you, and their reaction is so like surprised and they're so happy and they're like, wow, thank you so much for saying that, and you start realizing, wow, I don't think I tell my partner that I'm proud of them and that I love them so much, and like words of affirmation, and do all these little things for them, give them small meaningful gifts, not money wise, but just something thoughtful,
just to let them know that you're thinking
know,
about them. Like that saves a lot of men, believe it or not.
may be in a relationship
Mm-hmm.
that's you're in it for the feeling of love.
Mm.
You're just to say that you're in it. You know, like, okay, yes,
Even though it may not be real.
we're
That's
in
the
it
crazy part.
to go on the dates, and we're
Mhm.
in it to go on the vacation trips and
But
to
then you're
save
in it to
money.
win it in certain cases. And I feel like a lot of relationships nowadays, people are not in it to win it. They're in it because of the status.
Exactly.
And it's really unfortunate. It really is. And don't get it twisted. It's not just men. I think a lot has to do with women too. You know, that saying I always say women need to feel wanted, men need to be loved.
Mhm.
It's like the same thing. Us men, we don't get things right the first time. And again, I say it 1,000 times over, a baby that doesn't cry doesn't get fed. I think one of the things that messes us up when it comes to love and relationship is that our expectations are not reality, especially if we're not speaking on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, as women, I think women need to speak up and let them know what they need from their man. You know, excuse me. Whew, that was bad. Sorry, that was the Baja Blast. You know, a lot of times I saw another post that said, you know, when you find a woman, especially one that's been through some shit, you have to really think about, is this something that you want to take on? Because I personally feel this way when it comes to women that have been through some shit. They have so much shit they have to correct. They have to be constantly reminded that they're worth it. But in the same breath, men don't get that because the way that society puts a weight on us, where it's like, yo, check your head up tall and keep moving straight. So how do you think that should be broken down? What do you think needs to change for people to understand that?
It's a great question. Honestly,
I hit you with left field on that one, huh?
well, your question was kind of long, so I'm trying to reel back in my brain what question you exactly asked me.
You need some fish oil.
I need some fish oil. Oh. Ask me again.
So to shorten it up, what do you think would be a proper way to execute and expressing your way in a proper manner that wouldn't make one feel overwhelmed about how you would like to be loved? Like, how would you think would be the best way to express that?
I think that if if you're an anxious person, okay, it's fine. Just take the first step and talk to your partner about it. But if your partner makes you feel overwhelmed and
Mm-hmm.
bad for bringing it up, then that's a problem because you shouldn't feel that way. You should feel safe enough and secure enough to bring up to your partner, hey, like, just letting like, this is my love language.
Mm-hmm.
I've been thinking about it recently, and so don't feel so bad that you haven't been doing it because I haven't brought it up. I'm trying to figure myself out, and I think I've realized that I really enjoy when you do these things. You've done it sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's my love language. And if there's ever a time where you really want to express how much you love me, I think this is the way to do it.
Well, you keep saying love language. I think that's another thing that's important to add, where people have to have that conversation. Just like you have conversation relationship about finances, marriage, and where you want to be in life, there's an important part where you have to communicate what your love language is.
Yeah,
and I think people are scared of doing that.
I mean, I asked my partner when we first started talking, before we got into a relationship, I asked him, like, what's your love language? Yeah. And it's as easy as that, like, it's.
But why do you think people are scared to ask that?
The reaction of the other person, because, deep down, they know that maybe it's just a casual thing. Because maybe, and there's people always think maybe I can change them. And if I ask this, maybe I'll scare them away. So maybe I'll ask them later. Let me build a connection with them first, and let me, warm them up to me, and then maybe I can, slide it in and figure it out. Like, they have to play all these tricks and jump through these hoops to not scare the other person away because they finally got them and they just want them close. Okay. And honestly, it's really hard to realize, but if that's the case and that's how they make you feel that they might react.
Okay, before we close out this topic, right? When do you think it's not appropriate to talk about it? And when do you think it is appropriate to talk about it?
I think if you're both in a clear understanding of where you want the relationship to go, I don't think there's ever an inappropriate time to bring it up. I think if, if you're in a really rocky state or you're not official yet, like you're just met on Tinder and it's the first date,
I fucking hate Tinder.
majority of the time, you can ask them, hey, like, what's your love language? And they'll
Mhm.
answer, but I think it's more so don't do it just yet. Let's say if
Mhm.
their love language is physical touch, but it's the first date, they're going to want to get to know you first
Yeah.
before doing that kind of stuff. Or even words of affirmation, imagine a stranger telling you, oh, I think you look so wonderful today and, God bless and this and that. And it's nice. It's very nice to hear, but it's more meaningful when you've already established a connection with that person. But you know what? To each their own.
Facts.
To each their own.
So I have another question for you, especially being that you're a woman. We hear this all the time, right? The guy that she likes, she will put through a brigade of like obstacles to basically, earn the cookies. But the guy she doesn't give a fuck about, she'll give it up real quick. Why do you think women make the guy they actually like work so hard for it versus the ones they don't really care for? They give it easy access. Like, how does that make any sense? I'm not saying all women are like that.
Right.
We're just going based on, the TikToks and the Instagrams that we see. Where do you think that comes from?
So it's
Being
no
that
secret.
you're a woman.
So it's no secret that, if you're a pretty girl, you can easily find a man to hook up with. Go.
I think even if you're an ugly girl, you could.
No, yeah.
Every girl got a dude in their phone book that they could call him like, yeah, yippee ki I'm on the way. But not every guy has that.
I only say that just because I've had, I've heard guys say, oh, they prefer like pretty girls and,
I would hope so.
Doesn't mean I agree. It's just what I've heard. So that's why I said it. But
so why make the good guy wait?
But anyways, so it's very easy for a girl to go out, she's in the club, finds a guy, and she tries to subtly shoot her shot, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna hit this tonight.
Yeah.
And that's it. It doesn't really have to mean anything. But for girls, it's kind of this written notion that if you give it up too fast and in hopes for a deeper relationship and a long-term relationship, most of the time it won't work because guys love sex. They love being physical.
Yeah, it's our love language.
And they can separate the sex and the emotions. They can definitely do that.
To stop you right there, you said that's her love language, right? So for a woman to know that, why put that on ice, knowing that's how we are, regardless of the fact that
I'm getting to it.
Okay.
So at least in my brain, in my thought process, if I want to get with the guy that I really want like a connection with, I'm gonna try to not give it up so easy. I'm gonna be a little tease, a little bit of here, a little bit of there, but nothing that gives up too much because I want to reel him in. And also he gets to know my personality while I do it, in hopes that he falls for me in the process. If I'm just looking for a quick nut, I'm gonna go out with my girls, find this cute guy, and
you're gonna do what it do. You're not
do what it
her.
do, because the chances of me establishing a long-term connection with a guy that I met at a club and I decide, oh, let me do a one-night stand, like what are the chances that he's gonna want something real with me? Whereas the guy that I might like, I'm like, I don't want to get up too easy, because if I give it up, then he's gonna be like, yeah, I finally hit, I can move on to the next girl.
Okay, so when you break it down like that, right, do you think it's fair for a guy to say, well, fuck this shit, because I actually like the girl, but here she gonna let homeboy get it within a couple hours, but because she likes me, she's gonna make me wait? Do you think it's appropriate and okay for a man not to want to deal with that? Because I'll be honest with you, if I was in that situation where I'm feeling shorty, she's feeling me, but she wants to bring me through the ringer, versus the last male, it wasn't even nothing like that. Why should I have to suffer for something that you apparently could do so naturally? Would I be wrong to want to exit out?
You're not wrong for that. You are entitled to your choices, and you are 100% right by doing that, because you also have feelings and you
Okay.
can walk away from them. You know, it's different when the girl you're talking to is talking to another guy and she's having a physical relationship with him,
Hmm.
and she's not having a physical relationship with you. At that point, once you start mixing up, you're talking to more than one person, more than one partner, it gets a little messy.
Yeah, it does.
I'm talking more about, just you're only talking to one person.
Yeah.
Like if you know that she in her past has been capable of, sleeping with guys on the first date or second
Hmm.
date, she gives it up easy, but she decides not to give it up so easy for you,
Hmm.
have that talk with her, because communication. And if she admits that she likes you, then that's how you know. Like, she doesn't, if she gives it up too easy,
Hmm.
what are the chances that you're actually gonna stay? You're different, because I know
Yeah.
you're wholesome. I know
Yeah.
that, but
But
not
for the
all the
majority
guys
of guys,
are
because
like that.
I think it comes down to like a lot of dudes. Number one, we don't like to compare ourselves to other guys. And with that being said, it's like an insult to injury because it's like, damn, I'm actually interested and you're putting me through all these hula hoops.
Hmm.
Are you being real about who you are then?
I
Because
mean,
that's
every
what
girl's
goes through our
different.
head. Because when we see that, it's like, you're not real.
Every girl's different, because some girls will tease you. They'll be
Mhm.
like, okay, okay, you can hit, like first base or something. We can like kiss, make out, and then,
Mhm.
like this is they
Tease on.
tease on, give a little taste of,
Okay, the
if
cookie
you
jar.
stay, we date, you start liking me. This is what you're gonna be in for.
I
But
mean,
then there's other girls who, for
mhm.
sure, they're like, no, I want to stay abstinent. I just want to date. I don't want to do anything physical.
Mm,
And it really just depends on her personality and how she wants to go about dating. And she has every right to do that just as much as you have every right to exit out. Because
okay.
at the end of the day,
So you can't
both of you,
penalize.
you
Yeah.
can't penalize. People are setting their boundaries. They're,
Okay.
doing what makes them comfortable.
So final thoughts, because before we get into our last topic, I want to hear your final thoughts on this.
We can't really be that mad that she wants to stay a little abstinent, or not give it up so quick. And
Mhm.
you also can't be mad that he wants to exit out quick and decide not to be in that relationship, because both of them have every right to their decisions.
Okay. I mean, my final thoughts on it, if I'm gonna be completely honest, yo, I feel like if Shorty knows I'm feeling her, you already know what the mood is. You know what I'm saying? You can't stop what's inevitable, and meaning you're gonna find out one way or another. So I feel like, especially when it comes to a certain age, fuck the bullshit. We're both adults. Let's just see where it goes. Cause either he's gonna dog you out right there and then, or he's gonna dog you out in the long run. But I think it would be very selfish to go about it that way. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
So on go ahead.
So this next topic, I want to ask,
Mhm.
I want to bring up this topic about, what is it about women that confuses men so much?
Oh, oh,
Let
you
me
want my personal opinion or a
let well,
generalization of it?
well, no, let me dive deep a little,
All
because
right.
there was this story that I heard through TikTok, and it was basically,
Mind
this
you, I have a
guy.
question for you at the end too.
Okay, no worries. And a lot of men also wonder this about, if you have, a group of girlfriends, and when you're in a group setting, most of the time when they ask you, hey, like, what is it that you maybe want to eat, or, oh, we're setting up a schedule for this like vacation, or when it
Mhm.
takes organization and planning, they ask for your input. And most of the time, some guys are say straight up, oh, I don't really mind, I'm pretty much up for anything, oh, I'm not picky, oh,
Yeah,
you
you're
can
open.
decide, you're open to it. A lot of times, for us girls are like, kind of annoyed. It's like, what do you mean? And a lot of guys, at least in the story, was confused as to why is that annoying, until he came to the realization of, he started switching it up. So now every time, somebody asked for his input, instead
Mhm.
of saying, hey, I'm I'm cool with it, I don't really mind, he
Mhm.
switched it to, oh, I honestly really prefer skiing when we go on vacation. I'm down for
Yeah.
anything, but I think my favorite activity is skiing. And I'm also down for rollerblading too. And so that gives a group of, okay, perfect, we can definitely work around it. And it's less annoying.
Coordinate.
A lot of coordination. And I'm like, you know what? I agree 100% with it, because I know that you're down for anything, but if, me and like other group of
Mhm.
people, and you're that one person that's saying, "Oh, I don't really mind." No, like give me your opinion. I'm sick and tired of thinking, using my brain and
Mhm.
organizing all these like activities or like food events and whatnot. Like if you tell me, "Oh, I want to eat a burger. Oh, I want to go rollerblading." Oh,
Mhm.
oh, perfect. I love these ideas. Let's coordinate super quick and let's do these activities. Now we can have burgers at the skating joint. Done deal. And it took
Okay.
less thought process to do
I
it.
mean, in general speaking, why I think men find women so complicated is not all. This is just my opinion. Y'all crucify me if you want. Let us know how you feel in the comment section. I feel like because so many women's expectations are not realistic, we sense that. And a lot of us don't want to be bothered in the sense we just want to chill. We just want to vibe. And 9 out of 10 times we see so many times that shorties overthink the situation, just like some men do, but overthink it where you make things more complicated than it has to be. You get what I'm saying? And when we see that, it throws us off because just like you don't want to deal with an F boy, and I'm not saying women are F girls, but it's non-existent and you're bringing it to life for something that's not real. You know what I'm saying? That's just my generalization of it.
Mhm.
On my personal side of it, I think what I find why women are so complicated is because their feelings get in the way of their logic. And we see it all the time, like, just like in a dream. Oh, you cheated on me in my dream, and now I gotta fucking apologize to you for something that I had nothing to do with. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
I mean,
it's
the
like,
apology's nice.
but you get what I'm saying. But again, you know how many times that I had plenty homegirls that I was fucking with, we sleeping and it's a slap in the arm. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Oh, I had a dream. I'm like, how's that my fault? You know what I'm
Let
saying?
me
And
tell
that
you,
scares us, man.
it goes a long way. Let's
Mhm.
say your partner's like,
Mhm.
I had such a bad dream. You cheated on me, and she gives you extensive detail of what happened in the dream. It goes such a long way of looking at her like maybe you cross her cheek and you're like, "Babe, I would never do that. I love you."
But
That
that's
right there, no,
weird.
that right there is like, oh, thanks, because when you wake up from such a nightmare and a bad dream,
Yeah, you want reassurance. I
it's
get
the
that.
reassurance of, it's basically just reeling you back in reality. You're like, okay, it was just a dream. I'm
Mhm.
reassuring you that would never happen. I love you, and you're like, you calm down, and you're like, wow, I feel so much better.
You guys are so much different from us. Like, I saw a post that said I had a dream about my girl not basically listening to me on directions. And it basically, I woke up frustrated, and somebody put in the comments, this is the guy's version of a dream of a girl cheating on him, her not listening to in the dream. And I agree. I
Oh
think
man.
the complex, like, because I really don't want to fill into the taboo of like what society says it is. I think because women are constantly in competition mode with each other, they need that reinsurance. And that reinsurance comes with a bundle of a lot of stressful shit, because just like us men, we have a lot to deal with on the world. A lot of women have the same thing, just in a different type of caliber. You know what I'm saying? And because of that, it stresses out where we're like, yo, what's wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? Like, you have me, like, I'm here. And there's always that fear that I feel like a lot of women have, like, oh, but I'm gonna lose my looks, and I'm gonna fade, and he's just gonna trade me in like an old vehicle, which is why so many shorties go underneath the knife trying to appeal. But I don't think it's for the men. I think it's for themselves, because realistically, they have to convince themselves that they're good enough. So when they do go under the knife and do all that type of shit, I think it's for self-validation, not because
Um,
they seek us wanting them.
you
That's my
know,
opinion.
I think, women are always gonna want reassurance
Mm,
in life. And I
facts.
don't think, and it's not enough, to say, "Babe, I chose you. I'm in a relationship with you, and I love you." Isn't that
Mhm,
enough? No. No, it's not. Because yes, you have me,
mhm.
but it's gonna take our entire lifetime for you to keep proving to me that you love me. And I'm gonna do the
You
same
think that's why
thing.
they say you never stop dating your girl?
You never stop dating your partner. Because
I like how you say partner, because it goes
some
both ways.
it goes both ways. Women, there's no way out. Like, in terms of it's not just about you, not to be so selfish. Your partner also deserves love in the way that they want to be loved. Don't love someone the way you want to be loved, because it might be different.
Facts, because it's different love language. I agree with you. Okay. So, guys, for our last topic, I want to know you. This was "Am I the Asshole?" story.
Okay.
Right? Shorty is, I believe she's 31. Her man is 37. They've been together for 4 years, right? Okay. They have talked about moving in together, marriage, the whole nine. And Shorty's like, well, after this talk, I realize he's the one. And I see him as the father of my kids. Everything's going perfect. Ends up being that this couple goes to a party with friends from high school that she went to school with, because obviously the age different.
Yeah.
And they were talking about her past. And apparently, which I think her friends betrayed her on this one, where they talked about a story of her getting trained on when she was younger. No. And she says after that story was saying, like, everyone was laughing, like, oh, you were young and crazy. But her man basically changed up his demeanor. Like she said that he was giving her short answers, one voice commands, like, yeah, whatever. Like, and then in the long run, throughout later the week, he just started ignoring her to a point where he just texted her, it's over, and blocked her off everything. And she said she was devastated. Now, with that being said, do you think as a woman that he's wrong for making that choice? If yes, why? If no, why? And do you think, I think personally, her friends set her up for failure by saying that. And do you think it would be okay for her to, if that never happened, would it be wrong for her to never even bring that up, and why?
Oh my God, there are
There's a loaded question.
There's so many variables in this scenario that could have been handled differently.
So let's break it down. Do you think he's wrong for cutting her off after learning her history?
I don't think he's wrong for wanting to break up with her.
Okay, why?
I think like, you can't really argue somebody's emotions if this is how they feel. I mean, imagine if you were in that situation. Everyone is different. If you find out from someone else that's not your partner that they did something that goes against your values and just changes
they
your
got
point
trained
of view,
on by an entire football team, by the way.
That I can imagine he definitely felt some type of way. And if he's like, no, I'm sorry, there's no reconciliation for this, I definitely think he could have handled it differently in terms of like trying to talk to her to give her the benefit of the doubt. Hurt. And then finally be like, okay, at least I gave you the chance of us talking, but I still want to end things. Then, it's kind of like that closure. Her, I definitely.
Do you think she's deserved this though? That she made her bed and now she needs to lay in it? Because what you do today, you live with tomorrow. That's why they say your past is important,
dude. And it's something that you realize until you're older. Because when you're young, like you're a teenager or from like 18 to 21, you don't really realize like, hey, like some, mature men that love you, they don't really see it this way. And it really sucks because, if you're a girl, if you're a really young girl and super naive and a bunch of these guys are like influencing you these things, you're like, oh yeah, it's cool, because you have the majority of guys telling you,
I was young, okay. It's not that big of a deal.
This is okay. You're beautiful. Let's do it. And then it's not until you're finally older that you realize, fuck, I was brainwashed. And I was so naive. I was so fucking dumb and stupid and naive.
In the story, she laughed it off with her friends. Like, she didn't think it was a big deal till she saw his whole demeanor change. Do you think he's wrong? So you don't think he's wrong for walking out?
I don't think he's wrong. It's a really sucky situation. And it really sucks that people aren't so self-aware that these types of actions are bad if you want to later on, be in a serious relationship.
Let's flip the script, right? You're obviously in a relationship. If it was the other way around, like you talk to your man that you were in a relationship and you're talking about families, and as you meet his friends, they talk about a story that he did some gay shit that was like way overboard. Would that change your perspective? Or would you still like be like, yeah, he did some gay shit, but that was then, this is now? Or are you stepping out and that's it? It's closed out the door for you?
Would be really mad that he didn't tell me first. I would be mad that why did I have to hear this information from someone else? Okay. Like I appreciate communication.
Mhm.
You know, if you have come to me in the beginning stages of us dating, we're already friends.
Yeah, but
There
let's
was
just say
stuff.
he didn't say anything.
There
Would you
was.
stay, or would you like be like, yo, I'm sorry, I can't?
This is my thought process.
Mm.
We were friends before. So when
Mhm.
you're friends with someone, you say, stupid shit, you spill secrets, you're like, oh
Mhm.
wow, we're friends. I'm not gonna judge you, or sometimes I will judge you, but we're friends anyways.
Mhm.
And then finally, we start talking and starts admitting more stuff.
Mhm.
I would feel some type of way, but I'd be like, I appreciate honesty more than anything else.
Yeah, but you're
And
saying
at that point,
honesty from him.
from
Say you
him,
found out through his friends.
I'd be pissed. I'd be like, why didn't you tell me this? Why did I have to find out about
Mhm.
this now? And it really just depends like what happened. I don't think I would leave.
Mhm.
I'm saying this now, I don't know. I want to find out the details because to me the details are really important. I want to know, why did you feel like you couldn't tell me,
Mhm.
and
So
why did I have to hear this from
so
someone
you would be
else?
more upset about him not being open about it, not so much of him
Hmm.
actually participating in doing that shit.
I
See,
mean, people are curious. Who
Mhm.
am I to judge?
Okay.
In terms of like, you want to be curious, you want to experiment. You have to live up. If there's something that I value, it's living up to the actions that you make. Owning up to them, taking accountability. Be like, you know what? Yeah, I had a curious moment, and
Mhm.
I wanted to find out about it. I know 100% that I am romantically and physically involved with women.
Mhm.
I was just curious, and I'm like, okay, I know men can be just as curious as women can, because women might have like a gay phase or a bi phase and be like, I want to experiment a little. We're
Yeah.
human beings, we're in touch with our sexuality, and there's one thing that I really value. It's
Mhm.
honesty, communication, taking
True. Yeah.
accountability. And if you
Own up
open up
to it.
about those things, I'm not gonna be mad. I will still feel some
But
type of way because I'm still human,
But you know
but
what
I'm
I
not gonna.
noticed? You're completely different from how men are. And I think the reason why he acted the way he did is like when you fall in love with a woman, at least for the most part, like in my opinion, and for like a lot of dudes I talk to, we put you on a pedestal that's real high. You get what I'm saying? And when we see that, okay, we love this person, but they didn't respect themselves, it's like, if you want to hurt me, this is how you do it. Because no matter how deep our bond is, you literally put in a void at any given time that could be used against us, not me, us as a union. And I think with that being said, that's why it hurts us so much, because when a man truly falls in love with a woman, we put you up there, we view you in a different light.
Mhm.
And that reality hits, and it's like, you're not who I thought you were. How can I trust you?
I mean, women do the same thing. Let's say they're falling for a guy that they don't know, and they're like,
Mhm.
you know what, I want to shoot my shot with that guy,
Mhm.
and they start fantasizing about, oh, maybe like he's chivalrous and he's such a prince and he does all these things, and then when they finally start dating, it's
Mhm.
like,
It's
girl, that
completely
was
different,
girl, that was your fault. You shouldn't have put him on a pedestal. Like,
but that comes
he shouldn't
naturally.
he shouldn't have to own up to the expectations you made out to him. He's his own person. You should love him for who he is, and vice versa.
Agreed. And but that just shows you the dynamic of how we love so differently.
Right.
Because I talk to a lot of shorties and they say the same thing. Like, they would be upset, but the women that I notice, y'all women are more upset not knowing the truth, not that it happened.
Yeah.
Us men are more upset about it happening versus the truth. Like, it's like, damn, because again, when we're together, we put ourselves in a mindset that may not be realistic, but that's the fantasy of being in love with somebody, where you hold them up to a higher standard that we can only have ourselves to blame because you didn't actually be put up to that caliber. You get what I'm saying? It's just how we viewed you. And it's nothing but disappointment. It's like getting the car of your dreams and realizing, yo, this shit sucks. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a big upset. So before we close out, final thoughts, love.
Oh man, that really sucks. I mean, do you think that if she would have told him, like in the beginning stages of them, going
It would have been
out,
over.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
wow,
That man to man, like real man shit, I'm not dealing with that. Like, and again,
like if she was,
before y'all,
like if she was 17, she was in high school, like it
no,
happened, like,
because even then, okay, so you'll find a lot of shorties like, oh, why does my past matter? Ladies, allow me to, and it's not body count at the end of the day, it's the respect you have for yourself that matters. If you constantly get in a car accident, what are the chances of an insurance company taking you? 0 to none, right? If you could have the best grades and the highest GPA known to man, but your conduct is shit, what are the chances of you getting into a fucking good university? 0 to none. So your past does matter. Just like when you apply for a job, what's the first thing they leave? They look for a reference of your previous job to see how you were before, because it honestly dictates how you're going to be in the long run. So when a man sees that you had a promiscuous past that had little to no respect for yourself, we're like, well, damn, who are you really? Because you weren't being real about it. And we don't want to. The last thing a man wants to do is to invest into somebody who does not respect themselves. It's not that it's controlling. You don't respect yourself. So if you don't respect yourself, there's no way you could possibly respect what we have. Mm-hmm. And a smart man is going to see that and he's going to be like, yo, deuces. That's just my final thoughts. Final thoughts?
I already got my final thoughts.
Okay. So as you guys know, this has basically been a dope topic. I actually like this one. I think basically we hit the hammer on the nail a lot on it. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you guys hit us up on the comic sections. We still got some gift cards. So to twist it up, because it's not going to be the first person who comments anymore, we'll be posting up the gift card on the screen. If you could show the screen, we're going to post it here. You'll get the barcode. But towards the end, you're going to have to wait for the last 3-digit codes to actually access it. And first come, first serve. And when you do it, let us know what you basically plan on using it for and what you got. We love to see y'all grow as a unit. This is one thing for sure, 2 things for certain. And with that being said, we care about y'all, yo. We basically have this foundation. This is one unit. So we want to see you basically get things done. Make sure you hit us in the comment section. Make sure if this is your first time, you hit that like and subscribe button. And when can they find you, mama?
You can find me on Instagram, Natalie, 2I's, 2E's_01.
Yeah. And this you get ahead, Mr. Logic. You can find me at Logic142 on Instagram. Hit us up 2 weeks from now. We'll be in Vegas. We're going to be doing interviews. Talking. Hopefully this time I don't get robbed and see a man get taken advantage of like I did at the Golden Nugget. That's a story for another time. God. Vegas is crazy. But with that being said, as you guys know, this is one thing for show, two things for certain, baby.
Woo.
Later.
Woo. Love you guys.
I like this one. This was very chill.